we want to lead with a story that has been bubbling up for quite some time, and it's happening in the great state of Texas. It's a little bit of a third rail topic. Some people would say it's politically incorrect. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to dive into why this is happening. That sounds like a perfect story for the Charlie Kirk Show. When I first read it, I'll be honest, I didn't believe it. I said, sounds like it's being exaggerated. Some people are trying to get clicks. But the more I studied it and the more I researched it, the more real it is. Now, the story actually harmonizes with the tragic news of the death of my friend, David Horowitz. And David Horowitz passed away yesterday, a legend who warned his entire career that if you keep on importing Muslims and Mohammedans, they're going to try and create their own communities that are not welcome with Western values. They are going to try to implement Sharia, and that Western civilization is incompatible with Islam. That was his main contention. And we'll play some pieces of tape from David Horowitz later in the show. He is a legend of a man, truly. So what's going on in Texas, of all places? Mind you, this is not New York. This is not California. This is Texas. And as you know, Texas Republicans are rather weak at times. They don't really know how to fight. Well, Muslims in Texas are looking to build their own epic city. Literally, it's called Epic City. The East Plano Islamic Center, deep in the heart of Texas. It's in the northeast suburbs of Dallas. The plan right now is for these Mohammedans to build a 402-acre community in the Dallas suburbs. For reference, that's about 4 times the size of Disneyland. It would have over 1,000 homes, a K-12 school, a college, retail stores, and, of course, a mosque. Now, let me pause here. When's the last time Christians decided to do this? Christians should build communities like this. I look at the master plan here and I say, despite the fact that their worldview is toxic and that they want to destroy the West, you got to give them respect. It's well designed. It's well configured. They're here to spread their value system to the West. And we're like, oh, well, religious freedom. Really? Did the founding fathers have in mind Mohammedans coming to the great state of Texas or one of our states to build an exclusive city for Muslims? The idea is that this would all be on private property, so it could exist as a dedicated Islamic area. Developers claim the area will be open to all, which of course is rubbish, though we know and we get the feeling anybody moving in would find themselves not very welcome. America has freedom of religion, of course, but we should be frank. Large, dedicated Islamic areas are a threat to America. We've seen how this unfolds in Europe. There are massive, huge no-go zones in major European cities in Britain and in France and in Sweden. Those are real. You're not allowed to talk about them, but they are real. The police stay out of things. In no-go zones, Islamic values reign supreme. Blasphemy laws, for example. If you dare question the Prophet Muhammad, they will come after you. Free speech is not an Islamic value. Free expression is not an Islamic value. It's actually the exact opposite. Submission is an Islamic value. That's literally what Islam means. Islam has conquest values. They seek to take over land and territory. And Europe is now a conquered continent. It is not what it used to be. It's a husk of its former self, which is increasingly Mohammedan. So what are core Islamic values? Again, look at what happens when you run under Sharia law. And remember, under Islam, it is a requirement that believers try to get their societies to run on Sharia law. There are other takeaways here. The fact that this is even a possibility shows how our leaders, including Republicans in Texas, have for decades facilitated the great replacement of Americans with foreigners who hold dramatically and drastically different values. If your enemies are dumb enough to let you in, then you go in and you gradually build your numbers until you dominate them. Why are we putting up with this? Do we really need an extra 500,000 people coming in to build their own Islamic city, one of which the architect behind it said, I'm going to read the quote here, that this is going to be a Muslim-only space. Then he had to backpedal that a little bit. Now, this is getting a lot of attention. Now, we were fed the line about America saying, well, they're going to assimilate. Instead, they're building Islamic cities. And I say this as somebody who actually, my primary care doctor is Muslim. I know plenty of good Muslims. We're not talking about individual Muslims that are good people. Instead, I'm talking about institutional Islam. Of course, there are good individual Muslims. We all know them. They can be sweet, they can be charitable, they can be honoring. I trust him so much with my own personal health. And Dr. Zuhdi Jasser has assimilated, in fact, so much so he speaks out against stuff like this. He's trying to lead a reformation within Islam, and good luck with that, as I always tell him. I hope you are successful. It's very rare. He has very different values from a lot of Muslims, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. In fact, we're going to have him on the program again soon to talk about this, and he speaks out against Hamas. He speaks against Iran. He is a model of what I hope more American Muslims would be. We are not seeing that in the West, though. He is a rarity. He is an exception. Instead, we see the further radicalization of Muslims that come to the West. They don't assimilate. Has Ilhan Omar assimilated to America? No. Ilhan Omar has instead tried to infect the United States of America with her radical anti-American Mohammedanism amongst her extreme leftist beliefs. Let's go to cut 348. This is Governor Greg Abbott. This is the all-Muslim city in Texas being built with no building permits. And we're just saying, well, we can't stop it because religious freedom. It's a bunch of rubbish. This is a conquering ideology to take over the West, whether by sword or whether by development. And yes, Muslims have a lot of babies. And their clever tactic is to continue slowly envelop the West. Play cut 348.
There appear to be multiple violations that have taken place here. One is information has been provided to investors that appears to be misleading. Another is they appear to be in violation of fair housing laws. Also, we found that, they talk about doing all this building, but they don't have any building permits to actually do any building, and they have challenges even getting those building permits. Believe this or not, we've even received information that they may have been conducting a funeral home without legal authority. Bottom line, Laura, is that there so many questions arose, especially information that we received, that led us to need to call the elite Texas Rangers to conduct a criminal investigation to find out if criminal laws in Texas have been violated.
That's a pretty good answer by Governor Abbott, but of course he's not getting down to the core of it. I get it. He's the governor of a big state. He's got to be political. I actually think he's doing a pretty good job on this, to his credit. But I can say stuff that he can't say. I'm not the governor of a big state. And so let me just tell you plainly what he might be thinking. This is outrageous. Go assimilate. Go buy homes in Plano. Don't go build your own private development of Muslim-only communities with a mosque as the center. The details here are remarkable. In their own words, they said, and by the way, there's a whole funding model. There's a recreational center. There's a senior center. This is a Muslim-only community. And I'm going to read this here. Yazir Qadi has emphasized that this will be a Muslim neighborhood. But now he had to backpedal and say, it's going to be well integrated. Oh, really? Well integrated. What example do you have of that? Why don't you go build this in Riyadh? Go build this in Lebanon, not in Plano. Go make the Middle East great again. Oh, because you want, as like a parasitic force, to take over the West. Got it. How's that working for Europe? I sure hope Texas has the stones to stop it.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.